This is super embarrassing, but I've been sleeping in our walk-in closet for the past month.
So I'm like, man, will I ever see my husband again?
You're worried that I'm gonna just like never spend time with you anymore.
Yeah, because you're...
Oh, wait, I'm so sorry.
Can you see how she's raising concerns? And it's like it's the first time he's even considered that is a possibility, that's a concern she would have. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. Hey guys, it's Briar and let's chat about it. So it really seems like Matt and Abby, and more specifically Matt, is back at it again, baby, doing the only thing they know how to do for views, and that is exploit their relationship and just overshare things they probably shouldn't online for the likes, clicks, and engagement. And unfortunately, the video that we will be reacting to today is no exception to this rule. So in today's video, we are simply just going to watch and react to the most recent videos that Matt and Abby have uploaded to their podcast channels, and why it seems like Matt specifically is humiliating his wife and his marriage for the likes, clicks, and engagement. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stick around and let's get into it. Now, as someone who's very bad at keeping things brief, I will briefly try to explain who Matt and Abby are if you did not know. Matt and Abby are online content creators who are 26 and 25, I do believe, and they have 2 young children. They got together very young and, they had children on the younger side, and they became really popular during the panoramic panini press for sharing the highs and lows of their relationship. And I'm pulling that face because over time, the highs and lows and this relatable content that they were sharing, it really wasn't feeling like, oh, teehee, this is so silly and relatable. And it was really more feeling like, oh, this man kind of likes to humiliate his wife for views. Like, that's just my silly opinion. I don't know these people in real life, but it's the impression that has been given off, whether or not that is what they intended. Because you see, Matt and Abby over the years have gotten attention and gone viral, not for the best of reasons. To name a few examples, Abby went on a big speech about how she loves the fact that she doesn't have to worry about bills. Matt takes care of the bills. He takes off that financial pressure and stress from her, and in turn she does a lot of the household chores. He does the bills and she does everything else, looks after the children, cleans the house, etc, etc. Wow, funny that, because their water actually ended up getting turned off because Matt was not managing the bills. He couldn't even figure out how to put an auto pay on their water bill and make sure that it was running. So something that she gave him a congratulations for, he wasn't even capable of doing. Another really funny hee-hee-ha-ha highlight, which is when they cancelled Father's Day. Why would they do that? I hear you're asking. Well, you see, if you can believe it, Father's Day happens on the same weekend as Matt's birthday. And one Father's Day, when Abby was in her 3rd trimester of pregnancy, he had to man the barbecue at his own birthday barbecue. I know, it's really sad. I know, I'm sorry, I'm feeling silly, but as you can see, satirical. He made her feel terrible for the fact that he had to barbecue at his own birthday when she organized a whole barbecue cake, things like that, whilst heavily pregnant. But because that was such an awful experience for him, they decided to postpone Father's Day so he can have 2 separate celebrations. Maybe I should do that, because Easter often falls on my birthday and I'm gonna be like, no, we're not celebrating Easter this year actually. No one can have a chocolate egg, no one can go on an Easter egg hunt, because everyone's celebrating my birthday, me. I don't know, maybe I'll give it a try, maybe I'll see what he's on about. But I hope that these examples set the scene, set a vibe, if you will, for the type of things that get them attention. Unfortunately, over time, they have struggled to get attention in like a genuine way, and it seems like every so often they have to post something that's going to get this type of a reaction to keep the engagement going, to keep things aflowing. And this is truly the most recent example. So I wanted to watch together 2 podcast videos that they posted to YouTube. Now, both of these podcasts are around an hour long, so we won't be watching the whole thing, but I did just want to react with you guys to kind of the main parts where they talk about this new podcast, his announcement, how he did it, and then on the joint podcast, them talking about the sleeping arrangement decision and how they both feel about it. So the first YouTube video is Matt announcing on his Matt Howard YouTube channel that he is starting his own podcast called Night Shift. And why don't I just let the man, the myth, the legend explain it himself and show you how he decided to launch this podcast.
This is super embarrassing, but I've been sleeping in our walk-in closet for the past month now. This is our guest bedroom mattress that I dragged all the way from our guest bedroom into here. And my wife's not a huge fan of this arrangement. Obviously, I don't know a spouse that would be stoked about their significant other sleeping in the freaking closet. Not only does that sound super weird, but for someone like my wife who loves cuddles and loves to just like have me play with her hair while she falls asleep, she's not the biggest fan of this. And I totally understand. But this decision that I made, which is a temporary decision, by the way, was something I had to do just to prioritize my mental health because I was not okay. I was really struggling. I was feeling awful, and that's why I'm here. Secret's out. I sleep in the closet.
Now, as we get into it, I hope that it becomes very clear. The reason people have an issue with this situation is not because of the sleeping in separate beds. If that is what both come to agreement on and feel happy with, that is absolutely fine. And I feel like it is a good thing to show different ways that relationships can look online if they are healthy and if both people are happy with the situation. However, as we get into it, it'll become very clear that this is not the case. So I'm not here to minimize his mental health or anything like that, but I do think it's interesting to point out that he's very aware of how this makes her feel, and he's just airing it online to launch a podcast.
So to be completely transparent, I've tried to film this podcast 3 times now. This is my 3rd attempt, and I'm really nervous. I guess that's because I don't want to do a bad job. I feel a lot of pressure to do my best whenever I'm trying something new, and I hate losing. And so this is something I really care about. I'm really excited about this new show. I'm not canceling the Unplanned podcast. If you've listened or watched that show before, that's not going to stop, but this is a completely new show that I'm launching, and I'm very excited about it. I actually had a conversation with my sister-in-law's dad, who's a radio host in St. Louis. He's also the announcer for the St. Louis Cardinals baseball team, and he was telling me how much he loved his job as a radio guy. And I was like, wait a minute, I love podcasting. This guy, like, his name's John Hewlett. He was telling me he's done it for almost 50 years. And I was like, I could see myself having a podcast for 50 years. I don't know if I could see myself doing music for 50 years. I don't know if I could see myself doing TikTok, YouTube, any of that for 50 years, but a podcast, that's something that I love doing so much that I think I could do it every single week for 50 years and not get bored of it because I genuinely love talking to people.
I'm not sure that this man should be sharing his thoughts on a public platform for 50 years. I'm just not sure that the things that he says imparts the wisdom that he hopes to. I could be wrong. Some people could get good stuff out of it. But as we get into the next podcast where he talks about the situation with his wife, I think any sort of sympathy or relatability that you may give to this man will fall down the toilet.
I love getting to know people's stories. I'm the type of person that if I sit next to you on an airplane, I'm going to want to know your entire life story. I just am that way. I'm very curious. And if you're my Uber driver, same thing. I want to know you. I want to know your name. I want to know about your family. I want to know about your kids. All that stuff just gets me fired up because I love to hear from other people. I love to learn from other people. And I really think that you can learn so much just by having real conversations with real people. And that's what I want to do on the show. So I'm super, super excited for what we're going to do. This is called The Night Shift, by the way. That's the name of the podcast. And the name kind of comes from a personal reason. I love the night. I love being up in the night. I'm kind of a night owl. I've always been that way. I think it is mainly because of my ADHD. My brain doesn't like to shut off at night. And so I stay up and I have all these big ideas. And I've had some of my best conversations with friends and my wife at night. Like the late night conversations are just so good because you laugh, you cry, you bond on a really deep level. And I think it's going to be really fun to conduct every interview on this show in bed with the guest that I'm interviewing. So that'll make things interesting. I think that will just be honestly hilarious. And I think it'll provide an atmosphere where I get really close really fast to whoever it is I'm interviewing. And I want to know who you guys want to see me have on the show. I'm thinking probably people on The Bachelor, maybe some some of the husbands from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Maybe it's influencer husbands, content creators.
So that's the big podcast idea. Matt wants to interview influencer husbands and husbands of the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and he felt like it was worth embarrassing. He said himself, embarrassing himself and his wife to announce this podcast and this podcast idea. I also can't help but think of the logistics of it. Like, he had to set up a camera looking down at him in his wardrobe, and like on the side of him, like the logistics of this this setup is kind of funny to me. I think it's just like, you know, setting a camera up over your bed, but in a non kind of way. It's kind of comedic to me. I don't know. But yeah, so that's his big brain idea. He's going to talk to people at night in his bed. Do we really need this? Like, is he seeing a need, fill a need, as Mr. Bigwell from Robot said? I'm not sure. But anyway, that's enough of Matt Howard and him announcing Night Shift in the first episode of his podcast. I now want to go to his unplanned podcast with his wife, where they really talk about it, where we really get to see the reality of the situation, the reality of the sleep situation, the reality of him doing this podcast, and how his decisions impact his wife and the people around him, and in turn how these actions could be indicative of this person not being the best to be sharing their thoughts, sharing their ideas. Like, maybe they are not the most considerate, maybe they don't think things through before they say it. So like, is that a person we want to be creating podcast content for young, impressionable people to hear? I don't know. So let's go to the unplanned podcast, shall we?
How do you feel about what I just launched a couple of days ago?
I have mixed feelings.
Why do you have mixed feelings?
For being completely honest, I'm like, this feels like, I think we know now what a big project something like this is, like what this undertaking is.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I'm like a little nervous about it.
We've been doing this show for 2 years now, babe.
I know. So I'm like, wow, are we really gonna, this has been a lot.
I know. Well, I think that's the funny thing is, like, you think of a podcast, you're like, I just have to talk for an hour. That's so easy. You do a podcast and you're like, oh, like, if you want to do it well, there's a lot that goes into it. Anyway,
So I'm like, man, will I ever see my husband again?
You're worried that I'm gonna just like never spend time with you anymore.
Yeah, because you're.
Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna spend a lot of time with you. Don't you worry.
Okay.
No, okay. So I realized this, you guys.
Can you see how she's raising concerns? And it's like it's the first time he's even considered that is a possibility, that's a concern she would have. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. This man is married to this woman with 2 children. This isn't his girlfriend. Like, it would be so different if they were in their mid-20s, like pursuing careers as a couple. But this is a married couple with children. You would hope that you would have more consideration of your partner when you make these decisions. Or now he's asking her, how does she feel? It was like he never even considered that would be an option. He never even took a pause to think, how would that make her feel? So anyway, let's continue, shall we?
I call this, there's a concept that I like to refer to as creator hell. So it's when you're a new creator and you do literally everything yourself. Because it's almost like you're a small business owner. Like, say you open a taco stand and you are the sole owner. So you have to clean everything and cook everything and do all the branding, do all the marketing. Like, you are the entire team. Being a creator is the same way. Like, when you start off making content, you are the analyst, you are the marketer, you are the on-camera person. So where the heck was I going with that? Oh, the reason I'm saying all that is because I'm saying screw you to that whole idea of doing everything myself. And I have someone helping me edit the show. I have someone helping me produce the show. So it's not complete. Like, okay, let me be honest. I'm still doing a ton of stuff myself.
It's mostly like your brain space is being, your brain real estate has been taken up.
Because it's like, I can be in person with you, but my brain is thinking about all the stuff I have to do.
I've already been seeing that one.
Like you want more
brain
real estate.
is very.
Like, you want real estate in my brain.
Yeah.
I like that. I want real estate in your brain too.
You got it.
Okay.
I already planned. I got stuff in my head for you.
These things are dawning on him for the first time. Like, oh, I never considered that. Yet this man is like, I am smarticle particle enough to yap for the next 50 years and share my wisdoms. Okay, sure. Also, look, I don't know how much time he spends working, and obviously when you have young kids, it's very different. But I do wonder sometimes if some influencers, especially ones that became like, these guys became influencers, I think, when they were around 20 years old. And I just wonder if they don't have the best concept of what like a real workload is like. Obviously, it seems like they have the ability to outsource and get editors and get help, which is what I think a lot of people naturally do as they get more successful. But I do wonder if it's like probably he would just be having a normal workload, or like for someone starting a small business, that's just like the amount of work and effort you have to put into something. But he's kind of like, that's just not for me. Sorry. I mean, I don't know. I just thought that was a bit funny because I'm like, I sometimes wonder, especially with the like, try being an influencer for a day. What is the perception of a lot of work for these people when they became influencers so young? I don't know.
So, I mean, if you guys haven't seen yet, I went ahead and I launched a new podcast. It's called The Night Shift, or actually, no, I think I changed it to Night Shift just to be like cooler, because that sounds like way cooler. It's called Night Shift with
I
Matt
like
Howard.
that better, actually.
Is that
Sorry, it's just funny because this podcast is called The Unplanned Podcast. So, like, does he think that Unplanned Podcast would be way cooler? I don't know. Just a curious cat asking curious questions, okay?
Yeah.
And the whole idea is really, I was talking to my sister-in-law's dad, who's been in the radio business for 50 years. And I was like, holy crap, you've done radio for 50 years? He's like, yeah, I love doing it. And I'm like, wait, so you don't have to do this anymore to pay your bills? He's like, oh no, we're good. Like, we've got enough savings, but I do this because it's fun for me. And it kind of like something clicked there where I was like, wait a second, I don't see myself doing music forever. I don't see myself doing TikTok forever, but I can see myself literally podcasting and interviewing people when I'm 80 years old, because I genuinely love doing this so much. So I'm very excited. I'm so excited to see where that show takes me and takes us. And yeah, it's gonna be a really fun time.
Does this mean that you're separating from me?
What? No, the Unplanned Podcast is here to stay.
I think people think that this might be because we're separating because you're sleeping separate from me
Oh,
again.
yeah, that was episode 1. So episode 1 is me talking about why Abby and I are sleeping in separate beds, which you can watch the episode to hear about. I talk about it for almost an hour, so there's a pretty good explanation. But I want to get your thoughts, though, on like how you feel about sleeping alone, though.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No.
Sleeping alone?
No, I complain about it every night. I?
You do. I'm so sorry.
No, it's just...
So right there, we very clearly have how she feels about it. Like, it's not ambiguous. It's not like, I'll get used to it. It's not my favorite. It's womp womp, I don't like it. And I tell you every single night. So you can only imagine, like, she's probably telling him every single night that he goes to toddle off to with the walk-in wardrobe, and she's like, over here, bitch. It's so strange to me that he again is just like, really, like, so surprised. Like, does he think she's joking every night that she complains to him? Does he think that she's not being that serious? I don't know, but he's like, really, you don't like it? Because it just comes across to me that this wasn't a discussion. It was probably something that he just told her. And so now she's just having to deal with it. Like, he just told her, he just dragged that mattress into the walk-in wardrobe.
I'm a lonely gal. See, here's the thing. Say what you want. I am codependent. And I like went from being a kid in my parents' house to being roommates with people in college to sleeping with you. And I shared a room in college. It wasn't like I ever like even had my own bedroom.
You and your brother used to like share a bed sometimes too.
Yeah. I was
probably should not put that on the internet, but
no, it's
too
fine.
late.
He's my brother.
Too late, yeah.
He's my brother, and he wasn't, I was just like, I hated being alone at night.
Yeah.
And I have that, I have that thing where I have to say, my last words out of my mouth have to be, good night, I love you.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, what if I say something else just on my own?
It's so bizarre to me that I don't know if this is her internalizing it or his reaction making her feel this way, but it truly came across that, like, this makes her less than because she doesn't like it and because she feels like codependent. She's like, fine, call me codependent, as if that's a bad thing, as if her wanting to sleep in the same bed as her husband is something to be ashamed of or makes her seem less than. And he's just kind of like, yeah, that's cuckoo bananas, lady.
Yeah, I guess, you know what it probably is I saw my parents, like, growing up, my parents did not share a bedroom, really. They would
When
just
you were a
sleep
kid
separate.
even?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I didn't actually know that.
I hope I'm not like trying to air, like they're open about this. Everybody knows that. But like my dad just has sleep problems, and then my mom also gets sleep problems. So they sleep better if they sleep separately because they wake each other up in the night. And then
Maybe that's why it's so much more normal for you.
They also go to bed at different times. They wake up at different times. So it's not. It doesn't mean that they're like, them not sleeping together has nothing to do
Totally.
with the health of their marriage. It has nothing to do with that at all.
It can be a marker of like an unhealthy marriage, or it can just be like you have different schedules, you have different sleep situations,
which
is our case.
I feel like me sleeping in a separate room, which is technically the closet, has actually been really good.
We're in the same room, but not in the same bed.
I've literally been sleeping in the closet. I've actually been sleeping in our walk-in closet
and
every night
I have a
for a
couple
month.
other gripes about this. It's hard to put my clothes away and get to my clothes.
That's true, because there's a queen size mattress in there, because I moved that.
And it's
from,
a big closet. Don't get me wrong, but not that big.
I mean, I moved the queen mattress from our guest bedroom to the closet.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, and I talk way more about this in the episode. If you can't tell, I'm really excited for you guys to go listen to it, so you should check it out. Okay, I'm gonna stop self-promoting now. But the closet, though, it's so dark, it's so quiet, and I have a tiny little AC unit in there that makes it really cold. I've got a portable humidifier as well that makes it very like just the air is so
You guys, as
so
I'm
good
seeing more
and
and more
humid.
gadgets enter the closet, the more I roll my eyes, because I was like, man, he's really settling in here. Like, why don't you just get a freaking mini fridge at this point?
I honestly, that's next on my list. That's next on my list. I could have
kidding.
some beverages in there.
You're kidding.
I also even got these. A friend of mine got me these noise canceling headphones with this device that touches your vagus nerve on the side of your neck.
I hated
and
that.
it kind of massages your vagus nerve to calm you down, so you can get really good sleep at night. So it was like the sleep paradise. Like I created my own sleep paradise in this closet.
I can kind of see why she's like freaking out more and more, because he said in the other podcast that it's temporary, yet all of his actions and behaviors and these gadgets, he's making a sleep paradise. Like, to her, in what world is he going to leave a sleep paradise for a situation where he couldn't sleep and didn't want to sleep? Like, I'm not surprised that she doesn't like it and is upset about it, because not only is this happening without seemingly any sort of compromise, whether it be him hanging out in the bed with her before she goes to sleep, because honestly to me that would make a lot of sense. If he's the one that stays up later anyway, wouldn't you still want to have time in the bed together? Not like that. He says he has the best conversations at night. He said she likes to have cuddles and play with her hair while she falls asleep. Like, he's not just removing himself from her bed when she's sleeping. He's removing what it sounds like positive aspects from the relationship that she didn't agree or want to give up.
I have no words.
Oh,
you know what?
and essential. I also have been using essential oils.
Yeah. You forgot to say the lavender.
I freaking love essential oils are great. And
You're
look,
so high maintenance.
Let me just say this, okay? I don't believe. Sorry if this offends someone. I love you still. I don't believe in the whole essential oil crap. I just don't. But it smells so good.
A bunch of people just clicked on it.
We just lost about 1,000 subscribers.
No, I believe in it, because if you like it, it will.
Well, I think the placebo effect is real, and I think if something makes you feel awesome,
Okay, then that's great. So then it works.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of like a feeling,
Okay. Well, I haven't done my research on that, so
Yeah.
I'm not supporting that. So do not just come for Matt if you are an essential oil person.
My buddy at the gym was like, dude, your skin looks amazing. And I was like, that's probably because I'm getting more than 2 hours of sleep at night now.
Your guy friend noticed your skin?
Yeah, he was like, bro, your skin looks better than it used to. And I was like, thank you, homie.
Wow.
No, but I think my skin was looking horrible because I just wasn't sleeping.
Yeah.
I think like stress and just like
You know what I can't decide?
insomnia was freaking screwing me up, dude.
What I was going to say is the reason why I think it bothers me more than you, because like learning this about your parents, like I knew they slept in separate beds now, but I didn't know that was a thing growing up.
Oh, yeah.
My parents have never, ever, even when my mom was throwing up in the night, my mom was like, why don't you go to the guest bedroom? And my dad literally said to her, not sarcastically, said, well, in sickness and in health.
Oh, yeah.
And he stayed in the bed with her when she's vomiting, and he had to wake up early for work. That's the background I'm coming from. I'm not saying they're better at all, but like, we'll be together even if it's the most inconvenient thing.
That's hilarious. Yeah, no, for me, I guess we've just seen
It's just priorities.
seen things modeled for us differently in the houses we grew up in.
And you know what? Both of our parents have healthy marriages.
Yes.
So it's not a commentary on your marriage, although it could be, because there are some people that aren't sleeping in separate beds because they just don't like each other.
Dude, we've been having some really great times now that we sleep in separate beds. Like, I feel like I have so much more energy now.
We're still very much married. Still very much husband and wife.
It's been great.
Yes,
It's been wonderful.
I would agree.
I love being married.
I would agree. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping this is a temporary setup. Is the end in sight?
Is the end in sight?
Yeah, for this closet.
You know, I think it is, because we're finally getting
Habitation.
blinds in our house. We're finally going to have blackout, like, I can finally have darkness
They're
in our
taking
room.
a long time to ship, and then we still have to get special ones for the doors.
And I don't know if you guys feel this way, but it almost feels like they use this podcast to talk about things for the first time. I really hope it's not, but sometimes it just comes across like in the way that they react to each other, like her finding out about his parents. Like, she's like, I didn't know that. I didn't have that context. I feel like these conversations, you would expect them to be had, especially if you're going to do something as big of a change as this, before talking about it online and on a podcast, and to your over 775,000 subscribers. But in saying that, I'm not going to add more weight to this and their relationship because I do not know them. I do not know the situation. But ultimately, when you saw her initial reactions, and furthermore, the reaction that this has gotten online, especially on like short form social media like TikTok, people feel embarrassed. People don't understand why they're sharing this information. People feel like he is using this information that doesn't need to be shared, and she doesn't seem the most comfortable with being shared, to promote his new podcast, and it just doesn't come across well. So even if it's not affecting their relationship and she's fine with it, even though she says she hates the situation and is literally asking like, when is the end in sight? I think these people have been online long enough to know how things will come across. They have been online long enough to know how things will be perceived, and I just don't buy that they didn't know that this would be the reaction. They didn't know that people would find it really strange that he once again is using this. This is just totally in my opinion, but sometimes it really just comes across with the fact that he struggles with the fact that he settled down and had kids so young, and he's like trying to find these pockets of independence, freedom, whatever it is, because he feels like he didn't get it when he was younger, or he feels like he didn't have that time in his life. So now he's like, well, now I get to have my own little room, I get to have my own space, I get to make it my own sleeping paradise. Like, it just kind of comes across that he feels like he missed out by choosing to be married instead. And so then he constantly makes these decisions or behaves in these ways that isn't the kindest towards their relationship, that doesn't reflect the relationship the best, that is sharing things at the expense of the relationship online. And who knows, maybe these guys will be together forever. I don't know them, but it's just very strange that this seems to be the technique and tactic that he continues to use. Is like he has this worldview that is very much around him, what he wants, what he needs, what he feels like he misses out on. Like, I saw another clip, I'll put it in here, where he's literally like freaking out. He's like, you have 4,000 weeks in a year on average, and I've already had 1,400.
We all have only 4,000 weeks to live on average.
Why are you always giving me an existential crisis?
And I've already lived about 1,400 of those. That's assuming that we live to 75.
Does anybody else's husband do this? Seriously, every single day, Matt's like,
isn't that crazy?
When I die. I'm like, what in the...
So weird to think about the fact that I've lived a third of my life.
And she even said, like, he constantly has these, like, existential crises about his life, what he has or hasn't done, what he needs to do. And it's just becoming at the expense of their relationship. And it comes across as though it makes her feel less than, that she has to kind of beg, ask, try and understand him instead of it going both ways. Like, it just comes across that she's the one accommodating to him and what he's constantly thinking and feeling, and not having that happen both ways, especially when they were talking in the beginning and he was acting very shocked at her concerns, whether or not it's malicious. And I don't even particularly think it is malicious. I just think he's a bit oblivious, and he's so in his own head, in his own world, that he hasn't considered her perspective. And I know I just kind of went on a rant and a tangent about it, but I feel like I started and I just couldn't stop. And I guess to end my final kind of thought of it all, wow, I just forgot it. Oh yes, I do wonder as well, is this what happens when you become an influencer so young? You become an adult and everything kind of becomes about you, and so you're encouraged to think about yourself in this way and not consider others and have everything revolve around you, be successful because of you and your relationship so young. And it just kind of hinders people's ability, if they're not that way inclined to begin with, to think about others, to see other people's perspective. Like, he was talking about his podcast and he's so excited to talk to people and hear other people and learn from other people, yet it doesn't personally come across to me that that's a skill he really has. He might like to talk to people, he might like to talk with others, but it really doesn't come across that it's in his nature to consider how others feel, to see something from someone else's perspective. And to me, that was just really demonstrated in that beginning discussion of this podcast episode. So yeah, I think we can just call it there. I would love to know what you guys think about the situation. Do you feel like he is using their relationship and kind of humiliating her to get engagement for his new podcast? Do you think it's not that deep, not that serious? Do you think they kind of ham it up for content, for the reaction? Like, they kind of have just accepted that people will react badly to them, so they just kind of try and make the most of it? I don't know. I would love to know what you guys think, so please let me know in the comments down below. But yes, thank you guys so much for watching. If you stay till the end, you are a real one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My dog knows my outro. Yes, he does. This is the dog that had the cone. If you watched my videos last week, he is now cone free. We love that. Cone free. Yay. What was I saying? If you want to keep up with me between my videos, I'm on TikTok and Instagram, and I will link my vlog channel down below. I'm in my weekly vlogging era, so that's a little bit fun. And YouTube should very kindly be recommending one of my videos on the screen right now. But don't you worry, guys. I'm not funny there either. Bye.